something happening on the TV. Brilliant colors flashing in front of me. My heart just stopped, eyes open wide. This might be heaven, but I haven't died. I'm a fire throwing plumber with a golden axe. I'm stalking a robot, setting bombs on wall cracks. My arm is a gun, I hit. There's something happening on the TV. Brilliant colors flashing in front of me. My heart just stopped, eyes open wide. This might be heaven, but I haven't died. I'm a fire throwing plumber with a golden axe. I'm stalking a robot, setting bombs on wall cracks. My arm is a gun, I hit a home run. Can't believe I just won, this is too much fun. Super mega graphics 64, retro games and a whole lot more. All of the titles.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the broadcast, to the thing that we do on the channel in the space at the time with the games and the Hi. Got some fun stuff for you. You might notice something. Got my shirts in. I wanted to show you these shirts that I ordered. These are shirts that I designed. I didn't create them. They were created by a company, which I'll show you real quick. Hang on. Let's bring it up. If you go to my channel and you look at the links on the top, it'll bring up a list of stuff, and the links are right here. This one says buy SMG64 stuff. If you click that, it brings up the TeePublic place where I have all my shirts listed. I did have another one here from, it was an Atari Jaguar shirt, but unfortunately I got DMCA'd on that because I used Atari's logo. I may try to redo it without the logo or figure out something else. But anyway, that's the ones that I've created. So they're a thing. They're still a thing despite my epic failure. Here's the shirts that I got in. I'm wearing one of them, obviously. And I got a white one, which is the same thing. I got my 3DO, keeping it real, bro. Keeping it real. 3DO. Another black version of this one. And then I got my Dreamcast one with the stuff on it. And then, of course, the Neo Geo. Oh, yeah. So that's the ones that I've ordered so far. I'm still making new ones. It's fun to make shirts, you know? If you guys want any of them, you can buy them. I'm not encouraging anybody necessarily to buy these. It's just that it's hard to find decent shirts at a decent price, so that's why I'm doing it. And you're welcome to join in that if you would like to. Also, I picked this up, which I mentioned that I was going to be getting. And for the most part, very happy with this. I'm using this on the Nintendo Switch. Not the Switch 2. I don't have that. Not everyone is so blessed as some of my friends. Especially Luke, who's super excited. I love... Oh, man. If you haven't been to Luke's Awakenings channel, go check it out. Don't even watch this. Go check it out. Watch his unboxing of the Nintendo Switch 2. It's the only word I can think of to describe it is epic. It is epic. Go check it out. Anyway, this probably will work with that too. I assume it works with my Switch. It works with my Evercade. I use this little 2.4 gigahertz sucker dongle thingy. Only problem, I did have a problem with it, and that's that I cannot get Bluetooth to work. I can't get it to work. I've looked it up. Apparently there's a lot of other people who have the same problem as me, which is no matter what I do, whether I do X input or Switch input, and I try to do Bluetooth with the, try to sync it up to whatever it doesn't matter, anything. It won't work. It will never sync. This thing goes around and around, and then it lights up the top left and bottom right little dots and never connects to anything. And I have to reset it after that. Like I said, I've tried it with literally everything that I have that's Bluetooth. My PC, my Switch, my little 8-bit dongles for the NES and Super Nintendo. It doesn't work. I was going to return it. I actually started a return process on it from Amazon. And they offered me a partial refund if I wanted to keep it. And I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm really only going to use it on the Switch and on the Evercade. And I can leave the wire connected to the Switch and it works perfectly. Or I can use the 2.4 gigahertz on the Evercade and it works perfectly. So I was like, I'll just take the partial refund and keep my joystick. So I'm pretty happy with it. All right. Enough initial yakking. Let's see what's going on in the chat. First of all, Prime 1 is number 1. He was first in the chat. He gets the pinned comment, and he says there can only be one. To which Luke said, not true, Prime. Only always two. Wait, hang on. let me back up. Luke's Awakening says, always two there are. No more, no less. A master and an apprentice. And then Base Window would say, but which one, I can't remember exactly what he says, but which one died, or which one is alive, or which one survived, something like that. The master or the apprentice. Not not Samuel L. Jackson's best acting moment, but important words nonetheless. PJ says, hi, Prime, blah, blah, blah. Talking to everybody. What's up? Tricom, what's up, PJ? PJ says, but can he crack the seventh seal? That's a good question. That's a good question. PJ, that's 2 switch 2s. 2 switch 2s. Do you have 2 switch 2s? Am I misunderstanding something here? Oh my goodness. So 4 then. Tricom, how did you learn our language? He's referring to my 13th Warrior reference. One of my favorite movies of all time. Mwah! Beautiful movie. Love that movie. It wasn't very popular when it came out. Didn't really get a lot of publicity. A lot of people never realized it was a movie. After it was out for a while, it started to pick up a cult following, like tends to happen. And it's now considered a classic. I love the 13th Warrior. I've seen it quite a few times. Let's see. Switch 2 squared from Luke's Awakening. Thunderpin and Mike Wolf are also here. Did I say Tricom 79? I think I did. But again, with the Tricom 79. Thunderpin, nice shirt. I want one. Well, they are there, and you can get them should you so desire to do that. PJ says, I have the black one. It's nice. Indeed. Thank you, sir. Oh, yeah. Thunderpin, Psy going big time with the merch. Just some shirts. They have all kinds of other crap that I could design. And it is tempting to do some of these like wall hangs and posters and stuff. So I have to think about that. There might be some other things that could be done. But the t-shirts was what I wanted. I was trying to buy for myself. So that's the only thing I've really focused on. Tricom says those shirts tags are not tear off. Use scissors. That's a good point. I'm really not worried too much about the tags. If you want to see what they look like, I'll show you. It's like that. Can you see that? So he's right. They don't tear off. I'm not worried about it, but yeah. Scissors. Skizzers. Skizzers. Let's see. Luke says, I want to get one of those for the new Mortal Kombat collection. The new Mortal Kombat collection is pretty cool. There's a lot of good stuff on that. And Mortal Kombat 2 just came out unofficially for the 3DO. So get real with the 3DO. So anyway, Jon Snow's sniffing my shirts. Anyway. Where am I? I lost the chat again. It keeps scrolling on me. Let's see. I'm way behind. I hate when it scrolls and you're like, what? What happened? Where am I? Who am I? What? All right. Tricom, nice stick. Thank you, sir. Chris Courage in the house. Chris and Pierre is also here. Hello, guys. Hello. Chris Courage says, now you'll have to get a Bluetooth adapter for your super graphics. Well, like I said, unfortunately, the controller's Bluetooth doesn't seem to be working. Maybe I can figure it out at some point. But everybody that I've seen on the internet that has that problem that I'm having seems to have the exact same problem. Some people say they have no problems, but then a lot of people have the same problem I do. So I don't know. Should I have returned it? Maybe. But I took a partial refund on it instead, so we'll see how it does. Mike says, "Man, I should order one," and he said, "Man, I should order one and do that to get some refund on it." There you go. Apparently that they will do that. Mike Wolf, the seventh seal of Revelation, possibly. Luke says, yes, I have 2. Luke has 2 Switch 2s. He has 2. PJ, 2. Big deal. Casey has 8, I heard. Oh, wow. Probably. Casey probably has a Switch 3 already. Just saying. Luke says Casey has a warehouse of Switch 2s. Prime 1, Switch 2 doesn't play Castlevania and Devil Castle, so I'm not interested. Fair enough. I mean, without those, why would you care? Absolutely. Mike Wolf, yo, Prime effing 1. PJ Casey's. Damn thing scrolled on me again. Okay. Right as I was starting to read. Okay. PJ says Casey's wife's maiden name is Nintendo. What's up, John? Retro Bro Gaming is among us. Hello, Retro Bro. How you doing? What's going on? Luke says, we have a world famous game developer in the chat. Yes, we do. He has a game that's on the Nintendo Switch. Or is it on the Switch? It's on the Xbox. I don't know if it's on the Switch. I don't know. Antstream's probably not on the Switch. I don't know. Prime 1, I challenge everyone in Mortal Kombat 4 or Mario. Is it Mortal Kombat or Mario Kart? MK, I'm so confused. I keep seeing all these comments about MK today, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? What are you talking about? I'm confused. I don't know what people are talking about. Both of these things are in the news right now, so it's a little like weird. Mike Wolf, I'm not bad. I might have to leave to pick up my dog that's getting fixed today. Ooh. Well, here's to you, dog. I feel you, dog. Damn. Whew, that's rough. But if you got to leave, you got to leave, you know. Don't leave him in the place of his trauma. Absolutely. Oh, man. Let's see. John says, surely you aren't talking about me, Luke. Chris says, oh, that's a bummer about the Bluetooth. I missed that part. Oh, well, as long as you're happy with it. Yeah, see, that's what I was trying to figure out. I can't get the Bluetooth to work, but the 2.4 gigahertz works perfectly with the dongle. And I have that hooked into my Evercade, so that's great. And then I have the wired hooked into my Switch dock, and it works great there, which I have it hooked up there right now. It is a little bit annoying that the Bluetooth doesn't work, because it might have been fun to test it with those, those 8-bit DOE adapters I have for the Super Nintendo and the NES and all that. But I really wasn't going to use it on those anyway. And for the refund, it brings it to a pretty decent price. So I'm okay. I'm good. It's a little annoying, but it's not a big deal. Tricom, I've also heard about the Bluetooth on those is flaky. Yeah, apparently, maybe there's a way to get it to work, and I just don't understand what that is. And maybe I'll figure that out at some point. But right now, it's no Bluetooth. No. Mike Wolf, I think he's actually in Cyrus's neck of the woods. Who are we talking about? Who's in my neck of the woods? My woods has a thick neck. Luke says Antstream is everywhere now, I think. It's everywhere you want to be. Prime 1, Mortal Kombat 4. Oh, Mortal Kombat 4. Ah. Is Mortal Kombat 4 in the new Mortal Kombat collection? I'm not sure. I knew it was the 2D ones. I didn't know if Mortal Kombat 4 is in that new collection or not. Somebody probably knows, but I don't. PJ says, I love my Antstream, loaded it on my Fire Stick, so cheap for $20 a year. Everyone play Retro Bros game on there. Absolutely. Everybody go do that. Right now. Or in a little bit. Whenever you're ready. No pressure. Luke says, Antstream is on sale for $20 for a year on PlayStation 2. Great deal. Well, it sounds like a good deal. They actually, $20 for a year? I mean, what else is $20 for a year? It's a service that has quite a bit of gaming available on it. Normally, I'm a big proponent of buying and owning stuff, but $20, I mean, like you're not going to get your money's worth out of that. I think that's pretty good. This is not a commercial or an endorsement of Antstream. Let's see. Tricom, I think it's 1 to 4. It might be. 1 to 4. Mortal Kombat 1 through 4. Mike Wolf, this guy who does videos and has arcades in a tough shed is really good at Mortal Kombat 4 and might be a good opponent for Prime. Are you talking about Smash JT? Is that who you're talking about? I don't know. Prime 1, that's what Killer Arcade guy said. Now everyone pull up. Oh, wow. Very dramatic. John says, I need to send Antstream the director's cut of Desert of the... Oh, Desert of the Dead? I've heard of Desert of the Undead. Is Desert of the Dead the prequel that we didn't hear about? Are we breaking news right now? Is John announcing a game that we haven't played? A prequel to Desert of the Undead? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, John. It's okay. Prime 1, Mike Wolf, we will see. I also called out Daryl Sung. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is, sir. I don't know. I don't pretend to know. But yeah, just got these shirts like literally 20 minutes ago. I went and got them out of the lockers, and they're pretty good. PJ had bought one and he said the quality was pretty good, but you don't really know until you get the shirts. Oh no, I'm totally messing this up. The 3DO shirt, John, come on, keeping it real. It's pretty fun. It's fun to have new clothes. Yay. You got the Dreamcast one going. Oh yeah. Neo Geo. Fun stuff. Of course, they're me size, so they're giant shirts. You don't have to get them as big as mine. I'm just saying. Is Daryl Sung related to Shang Tsung? Or Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead? Because we were talking about the undead just a second ago. It all ties together. It's all linked. It's all part of the globalist agenda to merge the undead with the video game world to try to turn all of the gamers into zombies. They're already zombies because they play games so much all night long, staring at the screens. It's because of the chemtrails. Prime 1, Cyrus, an expert Mortal Kombat player. I would not say that. Unless you refer to Mortal Kombat 2 on the Game Gear. I was pretty good at that for a long time. Yes. But that's been a while. Of course, I never played anybody else on the Game Gear. So take that for what it's worth. Anyway, Last Line. What's up, Last Line? Hello. There's so many Switch 2 owners joining us today. So many. I'm very curious about your thoughts about the console, having had it for a couple of days. Last Line says, yo, about to do my last delivery because work has sucked. Pick up some Dominoes and watch Cyrus Martin. Oh, yeah. Thank you, sir. Tricom, they're turning the frogs into gamers. That's right. That's what's happening. Frogs of the undead. So yeah, I'm curious. I saw some videos come out today from some people that I didn't expect to put out a video about the Switch 2, and said some things I didn't expect to hear from people talking about the Switch 2. Of course, there was we were talking about a second ago, Luke's awesome unboxing, which stands unto itself as sort of this monolith in a sea of the undead. There is Luke's unboxing video. It's amazing. But then there was some other videos where people talked about what they thought about Mario Kart World or about the Switch 2 in general, comparing it to some other things and just kind of giving their general thoughts, having had it for a couple days now. It's kind of interesting to see some of this stuff. I am going to be buying a Switch 2 at some point. Just not yet. I'm not in a real hurry to do it. But I'm not saying that I'm not interested in the console. It wasn't something I absolutely had to figure out right away. It's something I'm cool with waiting a little while on. So don't think that I'm being negative about the console necessarily when I bring some of this up. But apparently some people that have owned a Switch 2 for a couple days and have spent a lot of time playing it, they kind of are. They're making these videos. I'm seeing them today, and they're saying like they're not as impressed as they hoped that they would be, and maybe got themselves a little bit too excited. This sort of thing. It's kind of like interesting to see people's thoughts. These are not my thoughts. Like I said, I don't have a Switch 2, but I can kind of understand where they're coming from for some of this stuff, because one of the big things that they're saying as sort of a criticism is it's very similar to the original Switch, and maybe not different enough. Maybe not, maybe it's like more like a Switch Pro than a Switch 2, this sort of thing. Which was kind of something that I had thought about, but of course I don't like to judge things too much until I have a chance to experience them. But it is interesting. It's only been a couple of days, and to see people making these videos, I mean, maybe some of that is also just people trying to make videos and come up with something to say, and strike while the iron's hot kind of thing. This is YouTube, but it is interesting to see these things being put out there like that. Have you guys seen some of this too? You know what I'm talking about? Because it's kind of interesting. Let's see. PJ says, I am addicted to the knockout part of Mario Kart World. I am looking forward to playing some Mario Kart World. PJ, are you planning to do anything for your channel on Mario Kart? Because that would be really cool. Just maybe some gameplay or just your thoughts about stuff. It would be really cool if you're planning to do that. I was just wondering. Prime 1, Daryl Sung is an expert Mortal Kombat player. He does playthroughs on Mortal Kombat games and clones. Well, Daryl, I will definitely not be challenging him. Prime 1, you have at it. You and Daryl go to town. Make a video. Do a stream. I will super chat you. Last line, Knockout is the best mode for sure. Okay, so that's 2 for Knockout. We've got 2 votes for Knockout. Luke says, Mario Kart is Mario Kart. It's never going to be revolutionary. A story mode is the only thing that would make the game more playable to me. A story mode. So there's not a story mode. I don't really know what's in Mario Kart World. I haven't done a whole lot of time looking at it too much because I'm eventually going to get it, and I don't want to like oversaturate my thoughts. Luke, you know this. Like sometimes when Luke's or John or whoever my friends are streaming games, Silverwings will do this too. He'll be streaming a game, and it's a game that I haven't played yet that I really want to play. I just haven't gotten around to. So I'll pop in, say hi, and then I leave. And it's not because I don't want to, it's not that I don't want, that I don't like the game, or I'm trying not to be there for my friends or something. I don't want to see too much of a game that I am interested in until I play it. I've deliberately tried to minimize my exposure to games that I actually do want to play. Maybe that's weird, but that's what I do. That's what I do. So I don't know a whole lot about Mario Kart World. I really don't. Just what you guys are telling me, basically, and a little bit I've seen. John says, when can we admit the Switch 2 launch titles are probably some of the worst Nintendo has had? Only thing saving it is the backwards compatibility. He says, this isn't just Nintendo though. Series and PlayStation 5 launch are pretty dreadful as well. It's a different time. For sure, John. It's a different time. It's interesting. Yeah. So launch titles for the Switch 2. Switch 2. Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza. There's some ports of games from like the PC and some upscaled versions of games from the Switch. And then they added GameCube, like 3 games from the GameCube. I don't know what all else. I'm not real sure. So it's an interesting mix. And honestly, just to put my opinion in there for a second, that's one of the main reasons I'm waiting, because some of that sounds really appealing to me, and a lot of it I can just like, I can wait. I don't need to do that right now. So I'm not saying that the games are terrible, but there's definitely seems to be there seems to be a lack of a killer app, right? Mario, maybe that's Mario Kart and I just don't know it, right? Or maybe it's Donkey Kong Bonanza. I don't know. I haven't really seen very much of that at all. But as far as what I've seen, I kind of feel like there's nothing that's making me jump out there or made me jump out there to try to get a Switch 2 immediately. So I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from with that. Salvatore. What's up, Salvatore? Hello, sir. Salvatore. I got to bring the chat up so you guys, we have everything happening on the screen. It has to all be there. If it's not on there, I feel weird. So it needs to be on there. I don't know why I always forget. Mike Wolf says, I want to see if everything's mechanically flawed with the Joy-Cons first. That's another good point. Sometimes it's good to wait just to see what happens with the initial, honeymoon period or whatever. Yeah, I get that too. Prime One says the Switch 2 doesn't have any games I'm interested in, just like with the PS5 and Xbox Series. Well, we established that earlier, Prime One. We were talking about Castlevania. So it's a tough standard for them to live up to. No, they're not. They just don't understand that there's a Castlevania crowd. There's a fan base that needs that game. One of these days they'll figure it out. Hell Tangible, what's up? What's up, Hell? Hello, Hell. Luke says the Joy-Cons don't have the Hall effect stick, so more than likely will drift. Oh, I thought they had the better sticks. That's not good. Maybe... Ooh, that's not good. PJ says, Switch Super Pro is a better description. Switch on steroids. Yeah, I don't know if the steroids thing would be a good look for Nintendo. So maybe the Switch Super Pro. That sounds all right. We'll go with that. Tylord says, hi, Psydog. Hello, Tylord. He says, hi, Psydog. I'm not getting one for now, but it's pretty much everything I wouldn't want. Oh, wow. But it's pretty much everything I wouldn't want. Well, there's a lot of negative publicity about some decisions Nintendo has made. That's for sure. So I understand what you're saying. I think I understand what you're saying. Tricom says, I've been spending too much on carts and FPGA to really consider the Switch 2. Yeah, I had to spend money on other things. Shirts, joystick. I bought some more games. I bought a Super Graphics. If I didn't buy the Super Graphics, I could have got a Switch 2. And I'll tell you this, if I had to do it over again, would I still buy the Super Graphics instead of getting a Switch 2? Which is pretty much exactly what I did. Would I do it again? Yeah, I would 100% do it again. I'm very happy with my Super Graphics. But again, eventually we'll do the Switch 2, but not right now. Okay, last line says, I think people are getting too hyped up. It is what I expected it to be. Honestly, a better, more powerful Switch with some nice touches on it. The games will come, but it will take time. I agree with that 100%. There's been so much hype. I think it was because the time between announcement and release was kind of this narrow window, and people just... There wasn't enough time for people to fully process, so maybe they got a little too excited. I think that might be the case. I heard stories that there was plenty of Switch 2s sitting around out there, like in other stores, like retail stores around the country. People were taking pictures of like those glass things filled up with Switch 2s and stuff. I don't know if that's real, but I did hear that. I saw that on some videos too. So I don't know. Maybe there's more out there because Nintendo made more. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe the super fans are a little bit too excited, but then a lot of other people who are kind of into games, but kind of like, whoa, let's pump the brakes. This is happening too fast kind of thing. I don't know. Kind of reminds me of the launch of the Sega Saturn. Like it was like announced and then launched, and people, the super fans jumped, but then everybody else was like, whoa. So... hopefully it's not a repeat of that situation, but it kind of had something kind of seemed familiar right there. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair of me to say, but I don't know. All right. Where am I at? The chat keeps moving, and I'm having a hard time keeping up. I appreciate that very much, guys. You guys are awesome. But it is hard to keep up. Let's see. Where? Ty Lord, yeah, Daryl Sung has great Mortal Kombat material. Last line says, one thing that's really cool about Cyberpunk on the Switch 2, it actually has hidden support for mouse and keyboard play. Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. Of course, if you're going to play with mouse and keyboard, I mean, just play on PC or something, right? I mean, well, I guess if you don't have a good computer, that's interesting. Hell says, I see a lot of hate for Switch 2 and me not caring since I haven't played on Nintendo systems in a very long time now. Well, I enjoy my Switch. I still think it's really great. We're probably going to play on it here in just a little bit. I did pick up a couple of games that were on sale, which I have never gotten around to buying. For example, I'll show you real quick. G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra, which is sort of a beat 'em up, I picked up. And Contra Operation Galuga. I never got around to buying these, but they were both on sale. So I was like, screw it, I'll buy them. I'll get them. Then I also picked up a couple arcade games. Warrior Blade, which is awesome. It's a sequel to Rostan. Of course, you see me over here playing Rostan. And then Tecmo Knight, a classic sort of dungeon beat 'em up, kind of like those Dungeons and Dragons games. So I picked up a few games that were on sale. So maybe we'll play that with the new joystick, the 8-bit Do arcade stick here in just a little bit. Perhaps we shall do that. Perhaps. Oh, I'm so far behind. So far behind. Let's see. Where am I? Okay, Drunky Cheese. Drunky Cheese, what's up, dude? Nice shirt. Well, nice shirt for you too, buddy. Even though I can't see it, I'm sure it's nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Got it in the mail today. I got some other ones too. I was showing them earlier. You can check them out if you would like. Donkey Kong Costanza. Donkey Kong's getting upset. It's not a lie if you believe it. Luke says their launch window already has more games than PS5 and Series X. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Prime 1 Drunky Cheese loves Risky Woods on Sega Genesis. He highly recommends that game to all retro players. Is that a fact, Prime 1? Is that so? Prime 1 is an unreliable narrator. If you've never heard that term, look it up. Prime 1 is an unreliable narrator. PJ Smith, the chat capability is kind of nice, and you can use your phone as a camera also in chat mode. I heard that it was compatible with a lot of different webcams. It wasn't just that you don't have to get Nintendo's webcam. I don't know if anybody's tested it with other webcams, but you're saying you can use your phone as the camera. So that sounds like it sounds like you can. It sounds like you can set up a lot of different kinds of things. That's pretty cool. Mr. Cheese. Mike Wolf says, what up? Luke says, where is your alt account? Sober E-Cheese? Okay. Pajamas Smithy? Okay. Steroids will shrink your balls. We're having an interesting discussion, I guess. Tyler says, would want. I was wondering earlier when you said that. I was wondering if that was what happened there. Okay, never mind then. I got you, Tyler. Luke says, that's why I stopped using steroids. Yeah. PJ, you got too big, Luke. It was time. It's true. Bored Cyrus. Okie doke. Tylord, Switch 2 looks great. Prime 1 Cyrus, I forgot. I told the guy who got stuck in Castlemania on this playthrough about the torch. Didn't know that game is more complex than we thought. Yeah, it's very interesting. One of these days I'm going to go back through it now that we figured that out. because it makes you wonder. I mean, obviously, now that we know you're going to have to use save states, right? But you're going to have to do as good as you possibly can. So be careful about how you use your save states to get back to that point so that you have enough hearts to go all the way winding up to get to that spot we couldn't get through. And then we don't even know what's beyond that. So this is a game that's going to take, it's going to take like many playthroughs probably to even, we don't know how long the game is, right? So it could be, we could just barely be scratching the surface on Castlemania. It's very interesting to me. It actually is. I wouldn't think that I would ever have believed that, but I've changed my mind since the torch discovery. That's been very interesting. Drunky G, Cyrus will buy a Dick Smith Wizard before buying a Switch 2. Only if you keep talking about it, Drunky Cheese. Only if you keep talking about it. Tyler, Switch 2 is Barry Bond's version of Switch. Yeah, well. Or Mark McGuire, whichever you prefer. Luke says, yes, there have been Switch 2s on the shelves. I think Nintendo ramped up their supplies of them to meet the demand. Well, how about that? What a novel concept for Nintendo to do. So that's very interesting. I knew what you meant when you said that, Evil. Prime 1, the Dick Smith Wizard has better games than Switch 2, like Police Jump. Okay. Geek Story and Nick is here. Hello, Nick. Hello. Welcome. Hell says, still remember going to Funko Land and trading a lot of Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Genesis games I didn't want for Saturn and Street Fighter Alpha. Yeah, I used to send stuff through the mail to Funko back in the day. I'm from a small town, so we didn't have anything like that anywhere near us. So I would look in the magazines and find these, addresses and phone numbers and lists for like Game Dude and Funko Land and Play It Again and all these different places that advertise in the magazines. And you call them and they give you like a quote and a number, like a confirmation number. And then like you would send your games off. You had a certain amount of time to send your games off and they would honor that quote. And you could either get cash, obviously, or they'd give you more if you went with the store credit. Of course, you always went with the store credit. Who's going to get cash when you're a kid? You're not. You're getting games. There was so many times, man. The system they had set up. I remember especially for like Game Dude and Play It Again doing this, where you would tell them the games you wanted, but you had to give them alternates. So it would be like, I want this, or I want this, or I want this. Or you would say, I want this game and I don't mind waiting, and just hold it until it comes in, until you get a copy of it, then send it to me. So there was times when, whether I was just paying for it or trading stuff, where I would be waiting for literally months before a game showed up out of nowhere. This was before the days of tracking numbers. They didn't have barcodes. It was just like, one day it just shows up. It's on the front porch. There's a UPS package or something, and you got like 6 Nintendo games. Those were the good old days. Pleasant surprises coming home from school in junior high, mainly junior high is when I did this, and having a big ass package from Game Dude or someplace just waiting there. Open it up, you don't know what it is, and it's Master System games or whatever you're into at that moment. Good stuff, man. Good times. The Master System stuff was great because I got into Master System and had very little exposure to Master System other than like TV commercials and stuff, which was not very many. So when I started getting into Master System, it was cheap and I would order it like that through the mail. And these games would come in and I had never seen the box art or the instructions or anything. So I would get these games and take them out of the package and just be like, mesmerized. I'll be like, wow, this is cool. Like, because I had no frame of reference. And then you put it in the Master System and it's like, not every Master System game was mind-blowing, but there was several that were like, whoa, this looks great. This is really, really good. So I enjoyed that. Was a great system to collect for back in the day. It was awesome. Because like I said, I got in when it was really cheap. Really cheap. So good times. I'm sorry. I'm falling farther and farther behind again. My bad. Let's see. PJ says Namco Museum is a good one. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Definitely. Namco Museum has the arcade version of Splatterhouse, which is fantastic. I think I always personally prefer the TurboGrafx version because I've played that one so much. But I'm not going to lie. The arcade version is a lot better graphically and everything. But yeah, it's cool to have it on that collection. I wish I had that collection for Evercade, but having it on Switch is fine too. It's fine. Historian, both of those are really good. Galuga is way better than the G.I. Joe one, but the G.I. Joe one is still fun. Well, I'm looking forward to trying them out. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Switch U says, will you be collecting physical games for the Switch 2? Wow, Switch U. Welcome to the chat. Interesting name. When I eventually do get a Switch 2, I probably will not be collecting physical games for it. I don't collect a lot of physical games for the regular Switch. I just haven't. And probably that trend will probably continue, especially with the new practices that Nintendo has put in place. Probably not going to be doing a lot of physical games on the Switch 2. I'm just being honest. As much as I like physical cartridges, probably not. Born Distracted. What's up, dude? Playing Switch 2 now. Hell. Well, don't let me distract you. Link says, Switch 2 distracted. Yes. Trichome with the Jon Snow picture. He's sitting right over here. He's staring away from me right now. He doesn't like it when I talk to the monitor. Freaks him out. He doesn't know why I'm doing it. Confuses him. He's very jealous of the computer. Geekstorian, Supborn, you missed it by a few months, but appreciated. Oh, he's saying happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday, Nick. Everybody wish Nick happy birthday. You know whose birthday it actually is today? Do you want to know? Do you want me to tell you? I can tell you. There is somebody in this community. There's a guy, and it is his birthday today. And if you know who it is, and you know how old he is, I'll give you 100 points in the chat. Somebody else can say it if you know who it is. Tricom says, Sai, did you ever play Alex Jones Shooter? I forgot about it. No, I never did. I never played it. I remember now, but I totally forgot about it. PJ says, Merry Christmas, Nick. Indeed. And Happy New Year. Yes. Geek Story and Nick says, I think I got a reasonable script written up on that Castlevania I said Castlevania. Your eyes will sometimes see what you want them to see, I guess. With that Creative Vision this week. Creative Vision. Nick, I look forward to that. And the Castlevania also, if you choose to do that as well. That would be awesome. Luke says, script, who uses those? Drunky Cheese, too bad the Alex Jones is a 30-minute game. We demand DLC. Yes. Prime 1 Castlevania is like the abyss. People don't know what's down there and how deep it is. Wow. 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 Prime 1 gets 10 points for that. That's great. I love that. Castlevania is like the abyss. People don't know what's down there and how deep it goes. Or how deep it is. One or the other. Awesome. Oh, man. Nick says, people like me who spout nonsense when left without one, Luke. PJ, The Abyss was a terrible movie. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. PJ with the strong opinion. I know I've seen Ed Harris talk about how him and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, or whatever the hell her name was, they don't talk about The Abyss because apparently making that movie was absolutely horrible, and they had a Very, very bad experience. I think both of them almost died making that movie, if I remember correctly. Bad experience. But not nearly as bad of an experience as apparently what PJ had watching the movie. Yeah, sorry, PJ. Luke says, LOL, I prefer to spout nonsense. Fair enough. Tricom just bought a cart with a Funko Land sleeve, blast from the past. I had one of those. Yeah, I bought an NES game a little while back and got one of those. It was fun. Little paper sleeve. That was fun. Born Distracted Funko became GameStop. Yeah, I don't know if they became GameStop so much as GameStop like acquired other things and then assimilated them like the Borg. Something like that happened. Hell says, was annoying I couldn't get more Master System games since stores hardly had anything for it. I agree. Nobody had anything for Master System that I ever saw. Not even at like Toys R Us when I went there. But by the time I was actually able to go to Toys R Us, it was kind of past that time anyway. The only place I ever saw Master System stuff was in those places on the backs of magazines and stuff, or in the Sears catalog. Because I did buy a couple of games from the Sears catalog. I bought Phantasy Star and I want to say Rostan. I think I got those two games through the Sears catalog. Brand new, which was nice. But yeah, no store that I ever went to had Master System. It was very frustrating. What a great system. Drunky Cheese says Master System color palette was better, way better than come on, dude. The Master System color palette was very good. I don't remember what it is anymore, but it was a lot more than the NES had. And the processor was twice the speed of the NES processor. It had a lot of advantages. It didn't have as good a sound, and Japan got the FM sound, but we didn't get that. So the sound was almost, I mean, there's a couple of Master System games that have good music, but most of them, the NES music is way, way better. But yeah, I mean, technically, on a technical level, Master System was very impressive. Apocalyptic Ministers, fresh from the battlefield of World War III. He says, what's up, Cy? What are we playing today, brother? We might be playing G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra or Contra Galuga. We might be playing those if we get around to it. We're talking mainly, but we'll see. We might play something in a minute. I don't know. Luke says, GameStop bought everyone, even EB Games. Drunky Cheese says, Tricom 79. Damn, I'll even buy a part 2 and pay full price. You're referring to... What are you referring to? I must have missed it. Oh, you're talking about the Alex Jones game. That's what you're talking about. It's hard for me to keep up. I'm sorry. There's so many... It's like I'm spinning plates. I'm like... It's difficult. My brain is Swiss cheese. You know this. It only functions partially in one direction. All right. Luke says, Master System color palette destroys the NES color palette. Watch it. Keep it down. If John hears this, it could start a whole thing. Just keep it down. Keep it down. NES is great. NES is great. Just be careful. Just be careful. Prime 1 ColecoVision SG-1000 had 16 on-screen colors. NES 24 Master System 32. Oh yeah. Tricom LOL, it was well made. Indeed. Hell says, love the Master System, but wish Sega did a better job with the sprite handling with it. My biggest problem is the sound. If it had better sound, I would be happy. The graphics I have no problem with. It's the sound. It could be better. And they did fix it, just not in America. They just didn't bother to bring, I guess because nobody bought it here, so they figured why bring the FM thing over. But it's so funny because a lot of US carts it's the same ROM as the Japanese one, so they have the FM soundtrack. It's just you can't hear it, so funny. It's nice to be able to play, like if I play Master Systems on my Mega EverDrive on my Genesis, I can hear all the FM stuff, so that's really nice. Nick says, yeah, I've heard most of the game isn't on the cart anymore and just a key code you're paying extra money for. This is a problem with the Switch 2. Like I said, it just came out. There's only been a few games released. Let's see how things go, because it could end up being that these key cards, or whatever they're calling them, they might not end up being a big thing. It might be that they try it and realize that people aren't happy with it, so they just decide to not keep doing it. Or it could become the main thing. It's early. It's early right now. I'm trying not to get too excited, and I'm trying not to get too concerned about any aspect of the Switch 2. There's a lot of things that are going to be worked out, especially in this first year. So we'll see how things develop. Definitely. Born Distracted, I never played online before. Never played online before? Tricom, I just played Master System Ninja Gaiden. That game is awesome. Yeah, it actually is really good. It's different than the NES Ninja Gaidens, but not so different that it's crazy. It's a really good game. It's kind of like its own thing story-wise and everything. The music is pretty good, but the gameplay is also pretty good. If you can get into it, if you play it a little bit, you'll get used to it. It's like any Ninja Gaiden. You play it for a while, you get used to things, you get used to the rhythm and the timing of things. Graphics are really nice. The Ninja Gaiden on Master System was really good. I really enjoyed it when I had it. And I mean, I can still play it on the EverDrive and everything, but yeah, that's one cartridge I was glad to buy and glad to sell because I got quite a bit for it. But it's a good game. Luke says, it's someone who turned 40. Okay. Again, a lot of times I'm not catching the full context of things. Oh, it's someone who turned 40. You're talking about the birthday boy. That's correct. The birthday boy did turn 40 today. Happy birthday, Luke. It's not Luke's birthday. It might be. It might be Luke's birthday. Thank you, Born. You weren't supposed to spoil it. Born Strike, the new Ninja Gaiden, I think it's coming soon. Oh, yeah, that one looks really cool. That one does look really good. Yeah, I'll definitely be picking that up. Apocalyptic Minister says, I love how you got your commercials set up, man. My commercials. You talking about my commercials? You talking about for my shirts and talking about stuff? I don't know what you mean by that. The shirts are pretty cool. I was talking about it earlier. I just wanted to buy some shirts, and so I found this place which has pretty good prices and everything. And I was like, let me just make some shirts and try them out and see how it is. And I was like, I found out I could integrate it with my YouTube channel and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make shirts that I like, stuff that I think is interesting or fun. And I'm just going to put them out there. And if anybody else is interested in buying them, they'll have that option too. But mainly I just did it so I could buy stuff for myself. But yeah. Tricom says, happy birthday. Prime 1, happy birthday, Luke. Turn back on the super chat so I can send a few hundred your way. Apocalyptic Minister says, I love the Abyss. Strong opinions. Apocalyptic Minister versus PJ Smith. The debate of the century. Was the Abyss crap or amazing? Only two possible outcomes. I would watch that debate. I would just watch that. I think that would be great. But I know how PJ is. PJ's like me. He kind of is just like, okay, whatever. Like, if you think it sucked, fine. It sucked. I don't care. Like, he's not really going to debate you. But we could force him to debate somehow. Probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. Somehow you have to motivate PJ to want to debate. I don't know how we would do that, but it could be done. I think it could be done. Luke says, LOL Prime, thank you, but I'd rather people send me free consoles and games. Alrighty. Prime 1, really? I didn't know that about the Abyss movie. Something else for me to look up. People tend to get bad luck when filming horror movies. There's something about filming things with water that seems to be a problem. Whether it be Titanic or Waterworld or The Abyss, movies that involve a lot of water, they seem to have problems. I'll just say that. All right, Apocalyptic Minister, what's up, Luke? Luke says, now I want to watch The Abyss. There's some really cool scenes in The Abyss, with that water effect. If you haven't seen The Abyss, it's got some pretty interesting concepts in it. Oh, and there's a director's cut version of The Abyss that has a completely different ending. And if you ever get a chance to watch that, I've seen it on DVD. The other ending to The Abyss is totally different, and in my opinion, way better. The alternate ending of The Abyss. They actually, maybe it wasn't for the DVD, but on the DVD they have that alternate ending available for you to watch, and all the special effects are done. So it's like a full other ending. It's not like they show you some halfway done effects and stuff. It's like very good looking. It looks, I'm telling you, they should have used that ending, but I guess they had their reasons for whatever. But very interesting alternate ending if you haven't ever seen it. Hill says, Master System has 32 on-screen colors. It was actually so good, it could even make the Street Fighter 2 sprites look close to the arcade. I've seen that Street Fighter 2 for Master System. It looks way better than you would think. It looks, maybe the animation isn't that great on the Master System Street Fighter 2, or the sound or anything, but it looks better than you would expect. It does look better than you would expect. Apocalyptic Minister, Master System was better besides the sound and publisher roster. Indeed, I agree with that. Last line says, I just had to deal with a real shit show. Walmart might have effed me over. Oh no. Ooh, that sucks, dude. Hopefully everything's okay. Damn. Tell us more if you feel so inclined. Now, inquiring minds want to know. Wow. Apocalyptic Minister Prime got the stats on lock. Yes, he does. Last line, I guess we'll see. Switch U says, with Xbox consoles seemingly dead, should Sega re-enter the home-only console market? Well, the problem with Sega is Sega's like not even a real company anymore. They're owned by, what, Sammy? Is that who owns Sega? There's like a couple of stages before you get to the parent company. I can't remember who owns or how they own Sega. They're not what they used to be. Sega doesn't have the hardware personnel or expertise or equipment or manufacturing capability. They don't have any of the stuff they would have to be able to do that. And I don't think they have any intention of doing that, because I think they have really good partnership deals in place with the companies that do make hardware, like Nintendo and Sony and stuff like that. So I don't think that's ever really going to happen. In fact, it seems like every once in a while you'll hear a story about somebody trying to make some kind of Sega hardware. And it doesn't go very well. It doesn't go very well. Sega did do the Genesis Mini, which did do pretty well. But yeah, they even got screwed over by their partners that made hardware, like At Games and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't think Sega has a lot of really any interest in hardware right now. But dude, it's an awesome dream. I would love that. You know, everybody keeps saying they would love to have a Dreamcast Mini or a Saturn Mini or something like that. Something, I don't know. It seems to me like there's like a market that would be interested in something, even if it was just like re-released Saturn games and you put them on the Switch too or something. It seems like there's an audience for that, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what Sega's got going. I really don't. I know the new Virtua Fighter looks pretty good. I know that. They're putting a lot of stock into that, so hopefully that turns out really well. Because I love Sega games, for sure. Absolutely. Let's see. Where am I? Born Distracted. Hey, last. Sure got a lot of Switch 2 videos up lately. Yes. Yes. Good stuff. Luke says, Sega and Microsoft could merge to make the ultimate console developer. Yeah, I think Microsoft is on its way out of that business too. I don't know that they're looking to expand or try that again. I don't know. I don't think Microsoft's got a big future in console stuff, at least not their own consoles. Last line, streams mainly. Orlando Turbo. I've seen you here before, Orlando Turbo. He says, hello there. How are you today? Too many people disappointed with the Switch 2. It's been a lot of it. Been a surprising amount of YouTubers that have been surprised by their disappointment. Now, a lot of people, my friends, different people that I know, seem to be enjoying theirs very, very much. But there definitely does seem to be more than I expected as far as people that have some criticisms and stuff. So, yeah. Very interesting time. It's what a weird launch. What a strange launch. Let's see. Prime One Hell and Apocalyptic. I was looking up the stats when I was telling someone TurboGrafx 16 had more on-screen colors than Super Nintendo. I got curious, so I started looking up other systems. TurboGrafx 16 does not have as many available because the Super Nintendo had 32,000 supposedly available. But yeah, TurboGrafx, what was it on screen? 256? Or could it do the whole 512? I'm really not sure. I think what was Super Nintendo on screen? 256 also? Or am I wrong about that? Yeah, you would know better, Prime One. You would know better. Born Distracted. It's all good, last line. I liked the Wind Waker video off the top of my head. Estriarch Retro GL. What's up, dude? What's up? Born Distracted. I wonder if the new Ninja Gaiden will be playable on Switch 2. I would imagine. I noticed when I was going through the eShop on my Switch that they now have listings for games that there's a Switch 2 version and a regular Switch version. For instance, the arcade version of Ridge Racer is now available on the Switch. The arcade version, it's the Arcade Archives version of Ridge Racer, the arcade game. And there's a Switch 2 version. There's a Switch version and a Switch 2. And if you look at it on the shop, on the regular Switch, it says the Switch 2 version is not available or something like that. So that is interesting because I wonder why. I mean, because there's PS5 and PS4 versions of games too. Like you'll see that also. And maybe it's the same where something about the Switch 2 version has some element to it that they need the extra capability of the system. I'm really not sure. But I wonder, could you buy the Switch 1 version and play it on the Switch 2? Probably, right? I don't know. Because you can play the PS4 versions of those games that are PS5, PS4. You can play the PS4 versions on the PS5. But I don't know. Nintendo does things their own way. So I'm really not sure. Prime One says, my favorite PC, the TI-99 4A, only had 15 on-screen colors. Wow. Hell says, I think TurboGrafx 16 can have over 400 colors on screen compared to Super Nintendo. There's a guy that had sent me some files a while back for some homebrew demo stuff that he had been working on for color. Like it was like still images and some demos that you could play also that used the full color palette of the TurboGrafx all at once. And if you played the games through composite video, then it was doing some kind of trickery to simulate more colors than the turbo could even actually do. There's like some I don't really know how it works, but he had sent me several files where I had talked about that a while back on streams and stuff. Turbo X-Ray, that's the guy's name on YouTube. So TurboGrafx PC Engine can do some interesting stuff, definitely, with the colors. I'm really not sure what the, what's possible as far as like what was done with retail and stuff like that, but also what could have been done with retail. I'm really not sure what the limits of that system are. It's a pretty fascinating piece of hardware. Absolutely. Luke says, Born, I ordered the physical copy, so I'll try it on mine. Ah, okay, awesome. Orlando Turbo says, what if NEC and Konami decided to bring on a PC Engine GT Duo handheld system? Well, wouldn't that be something? It would be very fascinating. The question is, how would it play games? Would they build in the games like they do with the TurboGrafx Mini? Or would it be like, it would have like a card slot? And then how would it play games that way? Would it be emulation? In which case you probably wouldn't be able to use your EverDrives, in which case it would severely limit the amount of games people could actually use on it because of the expense of TurboGrafx HuCard games. That's an interesting situation. I think what I would rather do, just myself, is just buy one of those nice little like handhelds, those little Android handhelds, and just load up the ROMs and just do that. I've thought about getting one of those nice newer ones with a really cool like 4x3 screen, because I want to I love my Game Gear, but it really needs a better screen. But getting it fixed up, it would be stupidly expensive. It actually would make a lot more sense to just buy one of these little handhelds and just load it up with stuff. I haven't done it yet because I'm kind of like, I don't know if I really want to do it, but it seems like that would probably make sense. Just do something like that. I don't know. But I'm not saying it wouldn't be compelling. If Konami and NEC decided to do something like that, it would be very interesting. Born Instructor, remember when Nintendo used to have TurboGrafx 16 virtual games? Yes. Yeah, I still have some on my Wii U. I bought like Lords of Thunder on there. And I have some other ones too on there. I even have some TurboGrafx games on my PlayStation 3. Some digital TurboGrafx games that I actually bought. PJ says, happy birthday, everyone. Fair enough. Happy birthday to you too, PJ. Oh, it skipped on me again. I get too far behind. Now it's way up here. I gotta go find it again. Where are you? Damn, I'm so far behind. That's crazy. Okay, here we go. All right. Apocalyptic's minister. In most YouTubers, the commercials take over the video, but yours only take... Oh, that's what you meant. That's something new they've been doing. It's not just me. It's with a bunch of... I see that too now. I've been seeing it on other people's channels. I didn't know what you meant by that. I got you. Luke says, Born, I have all those on my Wii U. Yes. The food old days, Luke. Okay. Oh, Cranible's here. What's up, Cranable? Orlando says, NEC and Konami would make a good new PC Engine GT system. They could. They absolutely could. Born Distracted Luke, to you, use dark mode or light mode on your Switch too. I like dark. Well, never mind. I was going to say something. Never mind. PJ says, that's how you know a movie is good, when they have to entirely reshoot a different ending to it. Yeah. Fair enough, PJ. Fair enough. Last line, 10 points, PJ, for that. 10 points. Last line says, well, basically, I had an alcohol delivery, but no alcohol was given in the order. The store associate loaded that order in my car. Huh. Orlando says, Elon Musk takes over Xbox Series business. Oh, boy. I don't know if we want that happening right now. I don't follow a lot of politics, but I've seen there's some kind of feud going on there. I don't know if we want to involve Xbox in that. Luke says dark mode is my favorite. Mike Wolf, did anyone see that Street Fighter 6 character reveal video? Oh no, I didn't. I don't know what. I haven't really followed Street Fighter 6 too much. Hell says the parent company of Sega is Sega Sammy Holdings Incorporated. So that's interesting. Okay. So it's Sega Sammy. It's not just Sammy. It's like it's like a partnership or something. I don't know how that works exactly. Last line, new Virtua Fighter is going to be great given its Yakuza development. They do a great job. Oh, the Yakuza dev is doing that. Okay. Yes, they do. They do a great job. Hell says Mike Wolf was surprised to see they suddenly pulled Ingrid out again. Oh, okay. Born Strike, I finally gave up on Xbox like Sai did with Amico. We don't talk about that. How dare you? Why you got to bring up oh shit? Grantable, I'm happy in retrospect I didn't buy the Switch Pro at the price tag. I'll wait a year or two for the OLED model. It is Jeff. Jeffrey. What's up, Jeff? Jeffrey's been enjoying his Switch too. I know that. I know that. Orlando, the TurboGrafx 16 can do 482 on-screen colors. Woo. Woo. Whoa. Whoa. That's a lot of colors. All of the colors, my friend. All of the colors. Last line. By the way, if you are an eShop fanatic, the Switch 2 is like way, way better for the eShop experience. It is very slow in the original Switch. I'm aware of that. So that I heard that too today. And it's funny because I had heard other people who had tested the Switch 2 before the official release say that the eShop wasn't better. And now I'm hearing people say it's way better. And you're saying it's way better, so I believe that. So maybe it was something that got improved when they patched. I don't know. Apocalyptic Minister, I love when they incorporate arcade versions on new systems. Just stop upping the difficulty. Sheesh. Sheesh. Indeed. Prime 1 on-screen colors. TurboGrafx 16, 482. Super Nintendo, 256. Oh my. Wow. Wow. Of course, the Super Graphics can do all of the colors, my friend. Because it has 2 layers. All of the colors, my friend. Hell says shading and highlight scan give the illusion of more on-screen colors for any console. Aha. There you go. If done right, Genesis can look like they have more than 64 colors. That's true. That's a good point. Prime says, no, Cyrus, buy an Analog Pocket. Analog Pocket's pretty good. Analog Pocket's pretty good. That might be the way to go. You might be right about that, Prime. It's not that expensive either. You know, the Analog Pocket's pretty reasonable. Now the dock and the Analog Pocket, it gets a little bit more, but maybe that might be the way to go. Switch U says Switch 2 basically just feels like a Switch Pro with battery life worse than Switch 1. I have heard that. Mike Wolf, Retroid makes a really good Game Boy emulator. Think they're like 120. Yeah. Last line, yep. Dithering 2 and color banding from CRTs is part of the reason retro games look better on tube TVs. It gives them more definition than they show otherwise. Yeah. The CRT. It's quite amazing. Mike Wolf, you can get a 4-button or Genesis 6-button configuration. Yeah, I've seen that. There's one of these handhelds that looks kind of like a Sega Saturn controller that looks pretty cool. There's another one that I saw it's kind of shaped more like a Game Boy, but it has a huge screen on it. That one looks pretty interesting. There's several handhelds that I looked at that are pretty compelling, including the Analog Pocket. There's several good ones. Apocalyptic says, I ordered a half gallon of Jack and the Walmart guy tried to steal my... Haven't we had this conversation before? It sounds familiar. It sounds like something we've said before. Happy birthday, Liam Neeson. Thank you, PJ. Liam Neeson, if you're watching... He's going to call me on the phone in a second. I will find you. I have a particular set of skills. Anyway. Prime 1. Sammy made Survival Arts the awesome, excellent fighting game, arcade game. Sammy can't drive 55. I've heard that as well, PJ. I've heard that. Seems like a nice guy, though. I like him. Go Switch 2 eShop is extremely fast. No more lag. No lag. We've heard that before. Ooh. Memories like the corners of my mind. Misty watercolor memories of the way we were. Last line says, yeah, it's even faster than PS5 eShop. Oh my. The gauntlet has been thrown down. PJ Smith, Grateful Dead, on-screen colors, 10,000. Last line says, playing some portable Switch 2 right now, checking on the CRT filter on N64 stuff. Ocarina of Time. Ocarina. Some people say Ocarina, some people say Ocarina. I like to say Ocarina because it makes me happy and it reminds me of the Macarena. Because I want to say, hey, Ocarina. Hey, Ocarina. It's fun. I like to have fun. Ocarina. Sounds like you're about to throw up. Ocarina. Ocarina. Doesn't have the same connotation to me. Sorry. Cranible says, hey, Cy, I got myself a CPC 464 PC. I could see you liking that PC a lot. I don't know what that is. CPC. I will make a note of that so I can check that out. Making a note. I'll have to check that out. All right. Prime 1. Super Graphics. 512 on-screen colors. Yes, sir. Prime 1. Did I mention that I really like my Super Graphics? I really do. I wish there was more Super Graphics software. But even that's fine. I knew what I was getting myself into. Even with the limitations that I have, it's still fantastic. And you never know. A year from now, 2 years from now, somebody might bring out some crazy awesome Super Graphics game and I'll be super glad that I have it. You know? We'll see. I mean, there's probably a fairly decent chance that in the near future something good could come out for Super Graphics that nobody expects. You know? The question is it more likely that will happen for like the Switch 2 or the Super Graphics? Maybe Switch 2, but I can hope. But even without that, I'm still happy. Last line says, it looks nice. If you like a subtle CRT look, they do a pretty good job of it. I wonder how good is that screen? Because I know it's not OLED, but most people seem to think the screen is pretty good. Like compared to the OLED from the Switch OLED, I wonder what, I know it's a lot bigger screen too. So I wonder, and it's a higher resolution screen. So I don't know. I would like to see it. I haven't seen one in person. Orlando says, I heard Hudson Soft was the one turning down games Turbo Technologies wanted to bring to the TurboGrafx 16. People are blaming NEC for all the problems TurboGrafx 16 had. I'm not an expert on the wheelings and dealings of the company stuff, but I'll tell you what I do understand to be true about that whole dynamic. So apparently, the deal between Hudson and NEC was basically NEC made money on hardware and Hudson made money on software. And they each were kind of responsible for each of those two things. Making the money, but also spending the money, right? And the hardware end of things got kind of tied up when NEC decided to redesign the system for the United States and Europe. And that really caused a lot of problems for the partnership, because obviously that delay caused a lot of timing issues with the Sega Genesis and, everything else. But anyway, so NEC made a lot of mistakes with the hardware end of things and ended up canceling the European stuff right at the last moment, basically. Or maybe they put out like a few and then canceled it right after that. I can't remember, something like that. Because there are a few of the European models that made it to production, but not very many. And in the United States, you know how that turned out. But as far as software concerned, Hudson had control of pretty much all the software stuff. So when Hudson decided to not bring stuff over, they were like basically making the decision that we feel like we can make a lot more money where there's a bigger install base and where it's more popular, which obviously was Japan. And they really focused on that. That's why so many of the Hudson releases and third-party releases, for the PC Engine are so Japanese. They have that very strong Japanese vibe to them because there was never a plan to bring those anywhere else. It's a very interesting partnership. The two versions of that partnership, the original one, and then when they rebranded and they brought out the Duo and and I think it was North America. They rebranded everything Turbo Technologies. So that was it's just very interesting dynamic. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not the expert on the wheelings and dealings of the business side of stuff, but everything about TurboGrafx and PC Engine is very interesting. It's a very dramatic platform. Absolutely. As far as blame for what happened, I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of fingers that could be pointed at a lot of different directions regarding all that. Tricom says, I really like my Ambernic 405V, has touchscreen, runs Android, emulates like a beast. I've heard that's a really good handheld, Tricom. I've heard that's really good. Granable says, hey, I see you got your 8-bit DOE arcade stick. Nice. Oh yeah, I was talking about it earlier. Bluetooth is not working on it. I don't know if I'm going to get it figured out. I've done everything I could possibly think of. I've read that a lot of other people have the same problems that I have. I got a partial refund from Amazon, but I decided to keep it because everything else works great on it. Would be nice to have that Bluetooth functionality, but other than that, I freaking love this joystick. And it's heavy as hell. This thing is great. This feels really nice. Set it down. This thing ain't going nowhere. Look, I'm shaking everything. It's like I'm being invaded by Godzilla. Anyway. Sorry. You know what I'm saying. It's a nice joystick. Orlando says Hudson Soft of Japan was working with Nintendo. Oh, yeah. They were the biggest publisher on the NES before they decided to enter that partnership and create the PC Engine library. And that's the main reason the PC Engine is basically like an upgraded NES. Like, it's very similar in a lot of ways. You know, controller, hardware, a lot of the stuff is very similar. Let's see. Hey, Ocarina. Yes, sir. Try go. Ocarina. Sounds like Oklahoma. Ocarina, where the da 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 da. There's a song for either one. You could, whichever you prefer. Prime one. CPC is like the ZX Spectrum is better with better colors. Ah, I see. Let's see. Switch U says thoughts on Metroid Prime looking like a Halo game. You know what? I hadn't thought about that. It looks like a Halo game. I haven't seen a whole lot of Metroid Prime 4. Wow, I have to look at more stuff because I've only seen a little bit. I haven't really thought that it looked like Halo. That's interesting. I'm probably going to get that on the original Switch. I probably won't get the Switch 2 version of that right away because I think it's going to be a little while before I get a Switch 2. We'll see how it goes. We shall see. All right. I lost the chat again. Hang on. There we go. Last line says, didn't Cy do Commodore, or was it just the Apple II and IBM PC stuff? I've never owned a Commodore. I've only used a Commodore 64 a couple of times. They had one at the school when I was in the 5th grade, and we played some little robot game. I don't even know what the game was on it. I've never owned a Commodore 64. I'm interested in it. I just have never owned one. So I don't have any nostalgia for Commodore. Other than when I see the commercials with William Shatner. And then I think, I too would like to own a Commodore 64. But I have never owned one. I've, like I said, very limited experience with Commodore. Hell says, was trying to draw, but this sudden blast of heat. Oh, it's so hot. It's so hot. It's so weird right now because it's going to be like close to 100 degrees here in Texas for the next few days. But then next week, it's supposed to rain and there's going to be highs in the low 80s or even the high 70s. Weird. Weird weather for Texas. Very strange. I'm looking forward to that, though. Cranable says, yeah, I could see the CPC 464 and Spectrum comparison. You guys are making me very curious about this stuff. I'm going to have to look some of this stuff up. Last line, I like the screen personally. I am not all that impressed with the OLED on the Switch OLED. The Vita had better color. I don't think that's true. I owned an original model Vita. I had the 3G Vita. And I had it for a while. And I have the OLED Switch. And I got to tell you, I look, everybody's entitled to their opinions. But I would say the OLED Switch is the best looking handheld screen that I've ever seen. It looks fantastic. It looks really good. But, okay. Maybe the Switch 2 screen holds its own right next to that. Or you like it better. I don't know. That's interesting. Tricom says the Vita screen is awesome. I remember the Vita screen being very good. I just don't think, from my memory, I would say that it was better than the Switch OLED. But I remember the Vita screen being very good. Prime 1 Analog Pocket on-screen colors 15 to 32,768. It's a lot of colors. It's a lot of colors, sir. It's very vibrant. Very colorful. That's a lot. Prime 1, I love the CPC. Last line, Core Graphics is the European version? No, that's not true. The Core Graphics is just another release of the PC Engine in Japan. The PC Engine, there was a white model, then there was Core Graphics, then there was Core Graphics 2, then there was PC Engine Shuttle, PC Engine GT, which is the handheld, PC Engine LT, which is sort of the little laptop looking one. Then there was the Super Graphics, obviously. There was that one weird one that had the modules. They had the Genesis module and the TurboGrafx module, and different modules. I can't remember what that one was. There's a couple of weird ones that are hanging out there that I'm not going to remember correctly. And then there's the duos and I don't know. There's a lot of different ones. In Europe, it was just going to be called the TurboGrafx. Just that's what they were going to call it, TurboGrafx. And if you look, you'll find some boxes and some actual consoles that did get made and I think got sold that actually have that branding. It just says TurboGrafx. It doesn't say TurboGrafx 16. It looks like a TurboGrafx 16 from the United States, but with a little bit different lettering and stuff. It's the same design console, just has a little different logo or whatever. And then it's just called TurboGrafx. Laser Active. Thank you, Prime One. That's a 10 points, Prime One. 10 points. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Let's see. And by the way, yes, last line, Apple II and PC. I'm going to have an Apple II GS someday. I'm going to get one. I want one. Ooh. All right. Where was I at? Cranable, last line, no, the core graphics was Japanese exclusive. Yes. Cranable, I remember going for visits at my uncle who happened to own a Commodore 64. He would let us play with it all the time. Well, I never played Commodore 64. I mean, I have played it, but not since like the 5th grade and only a couple of times. Switch U, what was your first video game? What was your first video game? What was yours? What was anyone's? What was the first video game? My first video game. Well, we had an Intellivision. We had an original Intellivision when it came out, and my mom got us several games, but it came with poker and blackjack, so that was the first one we owned, probably. But I think we got some other ones at the same time, so Night Stalker, Astro Smash, Snafu, Space Armada, Math Fun, ugh. Word Fun, ugh. We had them. We had all of that fun, and it was not all that fun. We had them though. Pitfall, that was awesome. Pitfall was awesome. Before that, I don't think we had any video games at home. I don't think. I know we had those little Pong machines, but I don't think we got those before we got the Intellivision. I think we had Intellivision before that. I think. Yeah. First game that I can remember playing at an arcade or playing an arcade game anyway was probably like Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man. That was probably the first one that I can remember playing. Or Galaga. Probably Pac-Man. That was a long time ago. The world was very different back then. No, this is like 1983, 82, 83, something like that. So I barely remember it because I was very young. And yeah, it's amazing I remember anything that far back. The brain isn't what the brain used to be. You know what I mean? But what was yours? What was yours, I wonder? Prime One says they made a console version of CPC called the GX1000. All right, I got to look that up too. You're making me make notes. Writing down the notes. I'm very curious about that. I love finding out stuff like this. Retro stuff that I'm not really aware of. It's awesome. Orlando says Hudson Soft was eager to work on the Super Nintendo when it came out. They abandoned the PC Engine for Super Nintendo. Hudson Soft made their money from NEC from a bad deal they had. Yeah, they did have... NEC made a bad deal, absolutely, because they really only made money on the hardware, and Hudson made the money on the software. It was a big problem for them. Yeah, when they jumped over to the Super Famicom, that's when they put out those Bonk games, Bonk on Super Nintendo. They just started pumping out Hudson Soft games, some of which were like upgraded versions of TurboGrafx games. Adventure Island. There's some other stuff. Bomberman, those Bomberman games. But yeah, you're right. Some of the RPGs got ported over to Super Famicom as well. It's a very interesting time. Yeah. Things went bad fast. For us, since we were 2 years behind, because it came out 2 years earlier in Japan, we really didn't have the same experience at all with the TurboGrafx that Japan had with the PC Engine. So, by like 1993, I mean, the Turbo Duo had kind of not really worked out. They really tried, and it just didn't work out. It was kind of over by that point in the United States. But there was still a good couple of more years where they supported the arcade system card and super system card in Japan. Games like Sapphire and things like some of the higher end technical stuff, the Neo Geo fighting games and stuff, came out in Japan. I mean, Dracula X Rondo of Blood came out in what, 93 in Japan, and like I said, by that time it was like over here in the United States. So they just had a very different experience from what we had. So unfortunately, it's like the Saturn. The Saturn had a lot of parallels in that way, because man, Japan got some awesome stuff, and we just kind of got like kicked to the curb. It sucks. I think that's why I think maybe a lot of us have such a special affinity for TurboGrafx PC Engine and Sega Saturn, because of that. Because we've rediscovered these libraries that really were not accessible to us. It's been really cool. Prime 1, Laser Active. I already read that. Cranable, the GX4000, essentially a CPC 6128. Prime 1, there's 2 PC RGB monitors with a PC engine built in. Yes, I was trying to remember exactly what was going on. I thought there was some kind of TV or something. Yes, you're right. Yep. Cranable, my first game was Donkey Kong for the ColecoVision. Oh, wow, really? Well, that's a good one to start off with. Hell yeah. Prime 1, the first system I played was a 2600 Junior. Wow, really? My first system was the 7800. Wow. I didn't even have a Junior until just a few years ago. We had the big, with the big giant switches. I don't know if it was a heavy sixer, but it was like, the one with the switches. That's the 2600 that we finally got. We had it in television for like a long time, and then we finally got a 2600, and then not long after that, moved into NES, and then on from there. But I didn't get a Junior until just a few years ago, because I always wanted to get one, but I never did. I don't know why I never bought one. They were so cheap. How cheap were they? $50. $50. Well, isn't that nice? Who doesn't remember those commercials? Who doesn't remember that? Why I never spent $50 on a Junior, I don't know. It's a good deal. Mine was Super Mario Brothers for the NES. Dude, I remember going to this one kid's house, and he had an NES, and he had Mario. And this was probably a couple of years before we got an NES, because we were a little bit late to that. Because like I said, we had it in television for a long time, and Atari. But I remember going to this one kid's house, and he had Mario, and I was just blown away, because we had seen Super Mario Brothers at the arcade, and people were like, crowded around it, playing it. It was awesome. And to see that on somebody's TV was wild. Yeah, that was interesting. So for that to be your first home system, that's fantastic, dude. That's really good. Hell says, I know the 2600 was my first game console, but I can't remember the first game I played on it. Okay, that's a good question. So we got a 2600 after we'd had in television for a while. What was the first game I played on it? Probably Combat, playing with the family. Probably Combat. And then it was like, the ones I remember at the very beginning of that experience was like Combat, Defender, Star Master. Pac-Man, which was not as good. Hey, get off my shirts. How dare you? Jon Snow climbing on my new shirts. How dare you? Man. I don't know. That's interesting. It's funny trying to remember this kind of stuff. Lana says, have you heard of the Vistar 16, South Korean version of TurboGrafx 16? No, I have not heard of that. Vistar 16. How have I not heard about that? Maybe I did hear about it, I just don't remember. You would think I would remember that. I could have put that in my magazine, but I don't remember it. Vistar 16. I made a note. I'll check into that. 10 points, Orlando. 10 points. Hell says, but I will always remember playing Donkey Kong and Pac-Man on it. Oh, yeah. I naturally just loved the Saturn since it came from the Master System and Genesis and enjoyed Sega arcade games. Saturn's fantastic. It's way better now than it's ever been because, like I said, it's accessible. It really wasn't that. We didn't get a lot of the good games, and, you know, it just wasn't available. Like, you know, you can, I mean, now it's like you can have an amazing experience with the Saturn, and that wasn't always easy to do back in the day because I did have one when it came out, and there just weren't, it was hard to get the games. We didn't have all the good ones, and the ones, I mean, we had some good ones, absolutely, but yeah, it's a better experience now. Prime One, the 7800 was $80 when they first came out. I think I remember that too. I think I remember seeing them. I never got a new 7800. I didn't get one until actually, when did I get a 7800? It wasn't that long ago. Well, now it's probably been about 10 years. So not when I was a kid, obviously, but I was always curious about the 7800. I asked my dad for a 7800 once for one of my birthdays, and he didn't get it for me. He was like, I don't know, for whatever reason, he didn't do it. But I did ask for one once. It just didn't happen back then. Granable, we never played the 7800, but today I love that console. I thought some of the newer release games. Oh, yeah, dude. Those new games. I don't have all of them, but I do have a bunch of them. Arrgh. Hang on. I don't have all of them. I did order that Tiger Heli. I'm looking forward to that coming in. But these are so good. The fact that they're making new 7800 cartridges is crazy. It's crazy. It's awesome. They do work great on the original system, but I mainly play them on the 7800 Plus. You know, I never owned Ninja Golf, and when they reissued it, I was like, I'm definitely buying that reissued. That's better than you think it would be. That's better than the original a 7800 Asteroids Deluxe, or whatever they call it on 7800. It's Asteroids. I have that around here in another thing, but that's really cool because they like simulate that vector stuff. It's pretty cool. Space Duel, Frenzy, which is nice. It's really cool. That one I want to play, but I don't really understand how to play that one. I have this on ColecoVision also. Really cool cartridge. And then, of course, Berserk. Great version of Berserk. Yeah. That's my favorite version of Berserk, I think. I like the 5200 one, which has voice also, but I think that's my favorite one. It's just really cool. Good stuff, man. 7800. Atari, the new Atari. Even though they did DMCA me on my Atari Jaguar t-shirt that I had designed, which I had coming, by the way, I'm not blaming them for doing that. Even though they did do that, I still really like Atari very much, very much. I wonder if I can show you the image that I used that they DMCA'd. I don't know if I can pull this up here. Hang on, I'm gonna see if I can just pull it up and show it to you. Because nobody knows what it is. I'll show you what it is. It's nothing major. I only had it as a shirt for like one night before they DMCA'd it. Hang on just a second. Let me see if I can bring this up. Come on. Oh, it's going to take forever. It's going to scan. Ugh, I hate when this happens. Sometimes... Okay, maybe it's not going to... Oh, no, it is going to take forever. Because I have stuff on a thumb drive, and sometimes the thumb drive takes forever because it's doing scanning for new thumbnails of pictures. I have so many pictures. Bummer. All right, I'm just going to try to... I'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. If I would have prepared for this, it wouldn't be a problem. But when have I ever prepared for anything? Okay, Tricom. I started with 2600 and Pong. My cousin had Intellivision. Always thought that was cool. We really like Intellivision, obviously. I mean, I still like Intellivision. Combat. I'm such a menace on that game. I bet. Tricom. My girlfriend's first system was the Odyssey 2, and her first game was Speedway. I've never played the Odyssey 2. It's an interesting system. My dad had one. He wanted me to play it, and I turned him down. I wish I would have played it with him, but I just, at the time, I wasn't feeling it. Apocalyptic. I traded my Game Boy with some games for a TurboGrafx 16, but couldn't find games for it back then. I had Keith Courage and Deep Blue. Don't even remember what I did with that system. Oh, wow. It's an interesting combination of games. Keith Courage and Deep Blue. Prime 1. Cyrus, look up the Super ACAN. That should be the next system you buy. All right. Make a note of that. Hang on. I got a lot of notes today. You guys are giving me a lot of stuff to look up. Thank you very much. Another 10 points for Prime 1. Grantable Vistar 16. Wow. It looks so 90s. I'll have to check it out. Apocalyptic Minister finally bought a new one with SSD S3. I'm good. Tricom. I just found my receipt for 93 when I had my Game Boy screen replaced under warranty. Well, how much did that cost? Oh, it was under warranty. Oh, okay. Maybe you didn't pay for that. Hell says, getting X-Men vs. Street Fighter just made me say no to any PS1 fighting game. Saturn version just blew it away. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Prime 1, the 16 Vistar looks like the Game Wave. Last line, I think Atari should make NES games again and publish them under Tengen, something like that. That would be hilarious. That would be really hilarious. I think they're trying to support their own stuff, though. I don't think they're going to do that. Orlando, I was shocked to find out Hudson Soft made the Mario Party games for Nintendo. Oh, wow. They made all of the Mario Party games, or which ones? The first ones? I have not heard that before. That's actually the first time I ever heard that. Orlando, 50 points. You get 50 points for that. You've blown my mind. Wow. I've never actually been into the Mario Party games. But now you've made me very curious. You have definitely got my attention. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to try to do this to where it'll work. Oh, it's not going to do what I want it to do. Ah, damn it. Clicking too fast. Ah, damn it. Did it again. Okay, I'm gonna create a background for this that is not really the background, but at least it'll make it easier to see because I can't really do this with a black background because you won't be able to tell what's going on. So I'm just going to make it go with like an orangish background. Yeah. Not, and this is nothing too wild anyway. It's not anything too wild. All right, let's see if this works. Okay. There you go. That's the image that got me DMCA'd because I put this on a t-shirt. The reason is because I put the logo. I put the Atari logo. Because I don't think they give a shit if I put the Jaguar stuff on there. But they do care about their logo. And that got me in trouble. So that got taken down. So I might redesign that shirt without the Atari logo. I don't know. I might not. But anyway, I just wanted to show you what that was and what happened with that. Yeah, they sent me a message from TeePublic saying, hey, this isn't our decision. This is from Atari. We don't have anything to do with this, but we took your thing down and you've been DMCA'd on this. They're not even holding it against me. I'm not like being punished or anything. My YouTube channel is not affected or anything like that. It was just something they had to do because of a request from Atari. And I don't blame Atari because it's their freaking logo, you know? And they have their own shirts and their own stuff. So, you know, it is, I should have known better. I really should have known better. Let's see. PJ says, happy birthday, Bill Hader. Yes, happy birthday, Bill Hader. If you're watching. I'm sure he's watching. Tricom, Mario Party 4 on GameCube is still my favorite, although the OG games on N64 are fun to play. Always best when playing with others. Cranable says, now you guys make me want to watch the Abyss movie. Also, anyone watch the new Alien Romulus? Oh, you know, I forgot about that movie. I have not seen it. I was going to watch it. Me and my daughter had plans to go see that in the theater, and we just didn't end up going. And I never watched it. I don't know. I've heard it was okay. Some people said it was pretty good. I haven't heard anybody say it was bad. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Curious about that. 20 points, Cranable, for bringing up a movie I want to see that I haven't gotten around to seeing yet. Hell says, Hudson started with Mario Party on N64. There you go. BJ, anyone seen the new Tron Ares trailer? They don't show very much, unless there's a new trailer that just came out. There's one that I had seen maybe a couple weeks ago. Didn't show a whole lot. Of course, I love Tron, so I'm interested. You know, I was very disappointed that they didn't continue that new series. They just kind of let it fall off because I was curious where that was going to go. They just had way too much blowback from the CGI, you know, from the de-aged stuff that wasn't really ready. It looked kind of weird. I never understood why they didn't just say, why they didn't acknowledge. Like, they could have played it off so well. All they had to do was use the de-aged CGI that doesn't look 100% and then just mention it in the movie and be like, something's wrong with the way he looks. And they're like, it's a computer. It's a simulation. You know, something. They could have said anything and it would have been like, ah, well, yeah. The problem is that they had that one scene where they just had to show a de-aged version of Flynn when he was younger in the real world. And if they hadn't had that one scene, they could have done that. They could have played that off. But, you know, it is what it is. That ship sailed a long time ago. Luke's Awakening, do the math and try it again. Thank you, Luke. Thank you. Last line, make the shirt with a picture of a jaguar animal that says copyright free and have it say do the math. I'll figure out something. There's a fun way we can do this. You know, there's some way I could do this and play off the whole situation. Absolutely. You know. Thank you, sir. 10 points. Thank you, sir. Apocalyptic Minister, Atari needs the damn publicity. Yeah. Not disagreeing. Luke says Romulus was great. Well, there you go. There you go. Orlando, I used to order my TurboGrafx 16 games from this place called Cartridge King in Vermont. They were cheap TurboGrafx. I never heard of them. That's really interesting. Yeah, TurboGrafx. I got TurboGrafx from Game Dude. Play It Again. I think I bought a bunch of stuff from Turbo Zone Direct before they stopped doing what they were doing. And then I bought some from the mall because Walden Software had some TurboGrafx stuff, and I bought stuff from there. I think that's pretty much it. That's where I bought my Turbo stuff from back in the day. Tricom 79. Anyone seen the trailer for Alien Show coming out in August? No, I hadn't seen that. I saw my daughter sent me a link to a Predator cartoon movie that they're bringing out that looks really interesting. I hadn't even heard about it. She sent me a trailer for it, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. It's like cell shaded almost looking animation. It looks pretty good. I was pretty impressed. But I hadn't seen the Alien thing. Yeah, I don't know. Series. I didn't heard about it, Cranable. Luke says, I like the second Tron better than the original. Well, I mean, the original was a product of its time, obviously. I'm going to have nostalgias for that no matter what. But I really did like that second Tron movie. It had a couple of things, like I said, that I think people kind of, it bugged people. But it was cool. It was a cool movie, you know? I liked it a lot. So I'm looking forward to Neutron for sure. Tricom, Alien, Earth, Ridley Scott on FX. I have not seen nothing about that. I will definitely, let me make a note of that too. God, you guys are having me, you guys are schooling me today. I'm learning. You guys are giving me a lot of stuff to look up. Wow, that's cool. 50 points. You get 50 points for that. Thank you, Tricom. Well, I guess you have to split points because somebody else mentioned. No, that was you that mentioned. Yeah, so you get 50 points for that. Okay. Luke said they just need to go back to it and deep fake his face with AI. They can make it look perfect. Yeah, I agree with you. They should go back and redo it. I 100% agree. They should. They should fix it. If they can fix Star Wars 15 times, they can fix freaking Tron. You know? What's the problem? Fix Tron. Okay, Tricom's got us a link also. I'll check that out. Not right now, but later. Last line, yeah, the Predator movie is on Hulu, and Alien Earth going to be on there soon. Very nice. Switch you. What are your favorite YouTubers so I can follow them? What are my favorite YouTubers? That's a good question. Some of my favorite YouTubers don't have nothing to do with video games, so really won't talk about that. But as far as I have a lot of friends that have YouTube channels, and my favorite YouTubers are all smaller, maybe not super small, but you know, not big, humongous YouTubers. You know, I mean, I like some of the bigger guys. You know, Sean RGT85. I always like watching his stuff. He's really cool. That one guy that we were talking about, John, what's his name? Damn it. The ColecoVision. He's real big into ColecoVision. He's been around forever. I just can't remember. Damn it. I can't remember his channel. He's always talking about the Sydney Hunter stuff too. I like him a lot. I like Bithead. Bithead is awesome. Classic Game Room. He's back doing stuff. Well, at least he was a little while back. I'm not sure if he's back now, but he was. Classic Game Room's awesome. I like stuff that you guys wouldn't think that I would like. I watch a lot of reaction videos. People reacting to movies or TV shows, or reacting to like people getting arrested. I watch a lot of that kind of stuff. It's fun. There's a lot of good YouTubers out there. So, and then of course there's my friends, which are also really awesome. You know, the PJ Smiths of the world, the Geekstorian people, Luke's Awakening, the Retro Bro, John the Retro Bro, Bacon Ice Cream, DJC Game Studios, Max, Mad Max Movies and Entertainment. These are my friends. They're really cool people. And I don't know if I could be objective. I think they're great regardless. But of course, I'm going to tell you I think they're amazing because they're also my friends. So bear that in mind. But I think they're also really cool. Papa Pete, Jeffrey, Go Game Go. There's so many. Mike's Gaming Gala, Ballistic Coffee Boy. He's really cool. There's a bunch, man. It's hard to remember everybody when you try, especially when your brain is full of giant holes like mine. So I won't. Last line, just like staring right in front of me. There's too many. I can't name everybody. I feel bad because I'll leave people out, and then I'm just gonna have to stop because I'm sorry, but there's a lot of great people. Let's see. Orlando says, I remember Play It Again back in the day. Play It Again was fantastic. They had some amazing prices. That's who I bought my original TurboGrafx 16 from, was Play It Again with Keith Courage. And I think I paid $65 for it or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Good times, man. Hell says, legit can't remember if I ever watched Tron. Wow. I've never heard someone say that before. See, that's a movie that's hard to forget if you've watched or not. Wow. Well, you should watch it. And then you'll remember. Because you'll remember right away when you start watching it. And if you don't remember right away, then you definitely haven't seen it. PJ Smith, they should bring back Morgan Webb. Morgan Webb. Huh. Morgan Webb. Oh, yeah, they should bring back Morgan Webb. Fair enough, PJ. 10 points for PJ for Morgan Webb. Check it out. I will not bring it on screen. You can check it out yourself. Thank you, PJ. Geekstorian, people with YouTube channels, who would do that? I know, right? It's crazy. Oh, thank you. GameStar81. That's the guy I was trying to remember. John, yes. Orlando, I'm still waiting. And 10 points for that last line. Thank you, sir. Orlando says, I'm still waiting for an Atari collection for the TurboGrafx 16. An Atari collection for TurboGrafx 16. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Geekstorian, that Geekstorian guy's a hack. I said what I said. Well, you know what? Some hacks are better than others. You know, some people really enjoy hacks. You know? In fact, in the grand scheme of things, aren't we all hacks? Aren't we all just faking this thing that we call life as we struggle to string together thoughts that we think might be somewhat original but are really derivative of everything we've experienced? Philosophy. Incredible. Thank you, sir. Yes. Gamester81. Hell says, the only reason I haven't been uploading gameplay videos like I used to is because I decided to focus on drawing again after my mother passed away a few years ago. Well, hell, I got to tell you, you know, the drawing stuff is always cool. My daughter does a lot of drawing stuff. She was doing it on YouTube for a while, but YouTube really wasn't for her, at least not right now. So she's, you know, she has plenty of other stuff she's working on and doing anyway. But it's very cathartic and therapeutic, and it's something that everyone has to have some sort of an outlet, a creative outlet. You know, I respect that very much. Some people's creative outlet is going to be drawing stuff. Some people paint, some people create music or do digital stuff. Some people make videos and streams. Some people make vlogs where they scream at their phones as they walk down the street. everyone has a creative outlet that they need to have. And I think that's very important because it's sort of like therapy. And, not when I say therapy, I don't mean that in a negative way. I think that's a very positive thing for us to be able to take this stuff that's inside us and bring it out into the world. You just have to be, you have to make sure that when you're doing that, that it's something that, creates positivity in your life. And, and I hope that that's the case for everybody. I wish more people would think of it like that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. PJ says, by the way, my condolences. By the way, if I didn't make that clear, my condolences about that. That can't be many things in life that could possibly be harder than that. So I'm sorry, Hill. PJ says, Luke's channel rocks. It does rock. It rocks and rolls. She was on X-Play. Oh yeah, she was on X-Play. I'm still looking at it. Yes, that's right. Tricom, I was always more into Olivia Munn. Olivia Munn. Pretty. Olivia Munn. Nice. Yeah. Apocalyptic says, I tried to watch Tron, but I kept getting preoccupied. Well, you talking about the newer one or the old one? You're talking about the old one, right? Yeah, well, it was a product of its time, like I said, so I understand. It does have one of the best giant door opening scenes of all time. Jeff Bridges' delivery on that. I remember when they re-released Tron on DVD, me, my cousin, and my brother, who are all close to the same age, I remember going to my cousin's place and we watched that Tron disc, the original Tron, with his sound system and everything, and we get to this scene where the giant door opens and Jeff Bridges goes, now that is a big door. And we all, for some reason, and maybe, I don't know, whatever the reason, we thought that was the most hilarious shit ever. And still, every time I see that scene, I will laugh because it's funny. The original Tron is a good movie, but it has moments that it's pretty funny. Geekstorian, I keep faking it, but I've never made it. Well, some things are not supposed to be made. Some things are... Anyway, I don't know. You've never faked anything. I would know if you faked. Orlando says, I still have my PSM and Turbo Play magazines. Oh, yeah, dude. I had a few PSMs. I had a lot of Turbo Plays. Oh, I wish I still had those. Great little magazines. They weren't super deep, but they showed you some cool stuff. I remember that first issue of Turbo Play. It had some stuff in it that, as far as I know, never actually came out. Like the SCSI adapter for the Duo. There was something else. There was like some hardware stuff in there that never actually came out that they showed. Yeah, you could probably find those PDF'd on the internet. I bet there's some really good information in there. Apocalyptic, I would rather have something hand-drawn over some AI crap. Well, yeah, the AI stuff, very divisive. Yeah, AI stuff is interesting because of what it is, this conglomerative, like, computer-generated thing. It's very strange, We're all paying attention to what's happening with the AI stuff, and my daughter, like I said, she's really into art, so she has talked to me quite a bit about all this stuff, and she has some very strong opinions about it. I feel like eventually, once technology starts to happen, when things happen, you can't really walk them back. You know what I mean? Like the smartphone or AI or anything. Like once you take that step, this is now the new world, And we have to figure out what that means. And it's been a wild ride trying to figure out what's going on with AI. And it's still kind of developing. So Yeah. But hand-drawn stuff, personally, 100%. I would prefer that any day of the week. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hell says, helps you relax even when dealing with stupid people in your life. Yes. Yes. Therapy. It's very important. Prime One, everyone watch City Dragon. It's the greatest martial arts movie next to Enter the Dragon. City Dragon. Prime One, and watch Vamp, the greatest vampire movie of all time. I don't know, Prime One. Every time you make a suggestion, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I look and I'm like, oh, we'll see about that. I'm withholding your points until further investigation has taken place. We'll assign points during the next stream, Prime One. City Dragon and Vamp. Tricom, there's an electronic gaming monthly collection still available to purchase. Comes with a complete digital collection. Hardcover. Oh, dude, I want to get that. All right, 50 points, Tricom, because you told me another thing that I need to look up. God dang it. That one I know. I don't know about the Prime One movie recommendations, but the EGM collection I got to look up. We'll see. Thank you, sir. Hell says, what I don't like with AI is there are people that are using it as an excuse to call themselves artists, and they fully depend on it. Yeah, I don't know about that either. Like I said, it's a strange new world we're in, man. I don't know. Last line, City Walk guy should say City Dragon. Okie doke. Okay, Tricom, I will look that up. Wow, we haven't played a single game and we're like 2 hours and something into this. I may play games later tonight. We'll do another stream this weekend and we'll play what I had planned to play, but I thought I didn't think we were really going to, to be honest with you. I was like, we're not really going to play it. But I thought maybe we would. Maybe we would play G.I. Joe Wrath the Cobra and also Contra Operation Galuga with my new joystick. And I want to try these other arcade games that I got too. These two right here. Because I played these obviously, but not yet on here with the new joystick. So we got some stuff to goof around and play. But it looks like we're not going to get to it today. I mean, not on this stream anyway. But wow, I've had a great time. You guys have educated me, given me a whole bunch of stuff to go check out and look up. I've had a great time talking with you. I've looked at some awesome pictures. Some awesome pictures. They're very distracting, by the way. Good chat. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. So yeah, new t-shirts. If you guys didn't see them before, I got them all. There's the Neo Geo one. There's the Dreamcast one. I got some of these. And then I got, oh man. 3DO, keeping it real. We got the t-shirts, we got the joystick. Fun stuff. You guys have been awesome. I really appreciate you. Prime One Super Icon, remember the name. Yes, I got you. I remember. I got it on my list. I already put it on my list. Thank you very much. Tricom, cleaning carts and talking with the boys. Gotta love it. Absolutely. Last line, wow, Sega didn't copyright the Dreamcast one. I'm telling you, the only reason I got hit is because of that Atari logo. And I don't think Sega cares what you do. Unless you try to make something, like if you try to make a console and you call it the Sega something, I think they care about that. But I don't think they even care. Hell says, that reminds me to give you my link so you can see my character updates. I'll put it in Discord. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you, Hell. Much appreciated. Thank you, PJ. Last line, you should plug your shirts on those console subreddits if the rules are cool. I'm not plugging anything. If people want to buy them, they can, but I'm only talking about them on my channel. I'm not doing that. Lando Turbo, I left 16-bit gaming when the PlayStation came out. Now I'm back to 16-bit gaming. I'm wondering, what did PlayStation did to me? Was it the hype? PlayStation's still cool. it is still cool. You just have to be in the right mindset. Like, I get in moods for different things, you know? But I'll tell you this. I think you might be onto something when you talk about 16-bit. Because I firmly, in my brain, in my weird, messed up brain, I think 16-bit gaming is the best gaming. I think that's the best period of video games for the type of graphics and stuff that I like, the type of music and sound effects, the type of gameplay, the variety of games, the type of games. It's just where I am happiest. 16-bit gaming is really, really good. I love the 8-bit stuff that came before that, sure. I love a lot of the 32-bit, 64-bit, all that other stuff after, sure. But if I had to pick one type, one period of time for gaming, and I could only have that forever, it would be 16-bit. That's just my favorite. Orlando, 3D graphics and virtual reality hype of the 90s. Link posted now. Thank you, Hell. Thank you very much. Prime 1 16-bit games. Been here since 1983. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, technically the Intellivision is 16-bit. Technically. Of course, there's a ton of 16-bit arcade games, and yeah, 16-bit. Tricom, the system limitations on 16-bit are just about perfect. Yeah. Crannable, I also believe 16-bit graphics and games are among my all-time favorites. It's where I'm most comfortable. I agree. But I'm also most comfortable hanging out with you guys and doing these streams and just having fun. You guys always make this such an awesome experience. Since we started up this channel doing stuff, and, you know, lately, since I brought back memberships and all the different things, it's been a very healthy, rewarding experience. You guys have really made that awesome. What I love is that you guys respect what I'm trying to do, and we don't get into the weird minutia that tends to happen a lot of times and has happened to me in the past. So thank you for being a part of this and for helping keep this thing rolling the way it's rolling. So I appreciate it very much. Orlando says, same here, 16-bit is the best. Well, look at us, all in a similar thought wave. Our minds are linked. Hell Changeable, Mattel and Television 16-bit in 1979. Yep. Apocalyptic games are being realistic is great, but 8 and 16-bit helps to push the imagination. There's something to say about that. There is something to say about that for sure. Switch U says, N64 kind of blew my mind back then with the 3D. Yeah, well, N64, I mean, yeah, that was wild when it came out. It was absolutely crazy because the leap from Super Nintendo to N64, totally different, completely different. I think that's one of the reasons people are a little critical of the Switch too, to kind of go back to that discussion, is people want their next Nintendo to be some kind of wild leap. You know, they want something, you know, new. And I think a lot of people are still trying to figure out how they feel about the Switch 2 because of that. Apocalyptic, yes, respect is paramount, 100%. Orlando, I don't like all this downloading with all these new games. It's a lot. It is a lot. Absolutely. Back in the day, they had to test the ever-living crap out of games before they could ever release them because they had that one shot, and, you know, it had to be 100%. And obviously they don't do that anymore. And that's one of the reasons for the downloading. And of course, now they're not even putting the games on the cartridges and stuff. So it's a weird time. It's a weird time. Prime 1, Cyrus, you forgot about the Virtual Boy. Virtual Boy. It's actually pretty good. Unfortunately, it's hard to experience, but it's pretty cool. I'm not going to say it's terrible. Hell says, going from Genesis to Saturn was a huge leap for me when I saw those 32-bit graphics doing things that Genesis and Super Nintendo couldn't. Yeah. Well, Saturn's fantastic. Absolutely. Okay, guys, I'm going to go for now. We'll do another stream probably tonight, but definitely this weekend. I really appreciate you. Come and hang out with us. We're going to have fun. It's going to be more of this, but we'll play games. We'll play games on the next stream. I promise. I promise. But you guys are great, and I'm going to go for now, and I will see you then, hopefully. Please come hang out with us. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.